Hey guys, it is Friday, December the 1st, 2023, and I have never made a video about my thoughts or research on the shape of the earth because it is a very divisive topic, as any of you that have researched this well know. But I got a download yesterday out of nowhere, and I call them downloads. They're when my mind is on something else and this revelation just drops into my spirit. And usually it takes just a matter of seconds, but it is packed full of volumes of information. So I'm going to do my best to keep this video short, but to share with you the information that I received. I don't believe that the Father gives me these things to keep for myself personally. I believe He gives them to me to share. And so that's what I'm doing out of obedience here. So I want to share with you first my thoughts about why every follower of Yeshua should consider themselves a conspiracy theorist. Now, I know in today's world that's considered an insult, but I'm going to explain this to you. The fact is, we're commanded in Matthew 24:4 to watch that we're not deceived. And in a world full of lies and propaganda, the truth will always be a conspiracy. Okay, so if you say that you're a follower of Yeshua and you believe everything that you're told and you never question it, then are you watching that you're not deceived? We're to take everything to the Father and not lean on any of our own understanding of things. Even if that understanding goes back to preschool and the globe that sat on your teacher's desk. This has been in the works for so long that it takes a lot to unpack it. There are so many layers of this onion that have been compounded upon itself that just pulling back one little surface layer doesn't reveal the underlying motive behind the deceptions that we've been given. Now, when I share my research with a few people, I'm always asked the same question. Why does it matter? Why does the shape of the earth matter? Well, this download that I got yesterday out of nowhere on my commute home from work is an explanation of exactly why this matters. And I'm going to share that with you. Now, part of my understanding is, many of you, like myself, start to wake up to the number of deceptions that surround us. This world is full of them. And we have been handed so many lies that it's hard to unpack them all. But I've come to the general practice that if our government and the news, media, propaganda, NASA, anything, states anything as a fact, then to me, the opposite must be true. I know, it's a horrible way to live your life, but it is also the most eye-opening way. And I've prayed for a long time that if there's any deception I'm believing, that the Father would show me. Because the definition of deception is that if you're believing it, then you don't know you're being deceived. Or you wouldn't believe it, right? And so when I prayed that, the Father has just repeatedly blown my mind. So I've gone all the way back as far as I can and asked the Father to reveal anything I've ever been taught that's a lie. And this was one of them. The shape of the earth. For me, it began with starting from Genesis and reading the creation story, right? I mean, it clearly describes a flat earth, waters above separated from the waters beneath, and dry land came up in between them, right? There's the mention of a firmament is described several places in Scripture. Genesis is one of them, Psalm 19:1, Daniel 12:3. I mean, there's the word firmament is a clear definition there. The earth is fixed and immovable. This is according to Psalm 104:5. 1 Chronicles 16:30, Psalm 93:1. The circle of the earth is mentioned in Isaiah 40:22. Imagine frisbee, not ball, a disc, flat disc. It can be round and not spherical. And the thing about the enemy is that they have to tell you what they're doing. They have to give you the truth. But the way they give it to you is that it's always hidden in plain sight, which is why I've used the UN logo for the screen capture of this video. So it's always going to be hidden in plain sight, but they're going to tell you one thing and then they're going to communicate the truth to one another. And you've got to be able to spot that. Now, the download that I received was this, and I haven't thought about this in a while. I mean, I've thought about it and I've seen videos on it and they pop up in my feeds, but yesterday I was driving home from work and a deer ran out in front of my car. I nearly hit it, had to slam on brakes, and I was just sitting there trying to regain my composure from that. And then suddenly, boom, I got this revelation out of nowhere. Wasn't thinking about the flat earth. I was just thinking and praying, thank you that I didn't hit that deer right then. But here's exactly what I heard in my spirit, dropped in right after that near deer collision. Here's exactly as I heard it. If you know the earth is a flat, non-rotating plane with a fixed, immovable firmament, you are less likely to be deceived by their fake alien invasion. That was it. That was wow, boom, just dropped right in there. I had to think about that for a minute. Like, I've had people ask me, why does it matter? Right there. And I'm going to explain this to you because they need the world to believe their deceptions in order for them to create this new world order that they've been working on for hundreds of years, right? And it all hinges on a fake alien invasion. Let me explain. Okay, we've started hearing things in the news about how aliens are real. The military is finally coming out with some of their videos. Why? Why is this all of a sudden now a news story that they've tried to keep covered up for years, threatening people that have had their own eyewitness accounts with danger to them or their families if they talked about it? Now all of a sudden it's a news story and the mainstream is running with it. I mean, we got to ask ourselves these questions, because I believe that this fake alien invasion is about to be allowed to go through, or they know that their time is coming up. So here's what I want to explain to you. The enemy has to fabricate a powerfully deceptive narrative to explain what is getting ready to take place biblically. All right? They want to be able to explain it in a way that the world doesn't wake up suddenly to the fact that the Father is real and that they may have to answer for their actions, that there may be judgment coming. The enemy is doing their very best to try to keep that information under wraps. So they've got to present their own narrative to explain what's about to happen. One of those things that's about to happen is that across the world, the disappearance of children is going to take place. We're told this in Isaiah 49, 22 through 23, that this first fruits group is going to be bringing these children with them when they're taken. We're told this in Joel 2, verse 16. Gather the children and them that suck the breast. Bring them for the solemn assembly. Gather them. They're coming with this group that will be taken. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, go watch the video I made about the rapture is true, but it's not like we're being taught. Okay? That'll explain some of that. Okay, we're told this in Matthew 24:19. Woe to those that are nursing and with small children. Yeshua gives that warning in his chapter about the last days, because these women are going to not know where their children went. And it's going to be chaotic and fearful and dreadful for anyone that has a child or knows someone with a child. This is going to be catastrophic because they're not going to know where these children went. And the enemy is going to have an answer for them. Aliens. The aliens took them, right? But we know that they're going to be with the Father, and that should bring comfort to those parents. But they will be given answers from the enemy. The second thing that the enemy is going to have to explain is these first fruits group that will have the Father's literal light upon them. We are told this in Isaiah 60, 1 through 3. We're told this in Daniel 12, 3. We're told this in Matthew 13, 43. This will be a literal event. Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Father is risen upon you. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But my light shall arise upon you, and my glory shall be seen upon you. This is literal. And kings shall come to the, and Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Why would they come to anyone unless they have something on them that they can't explain? This will be a literal event. And the enemy has an answer for it. Aliens. These people are aliens. Okay. And the enemy is going to, I believe, place his light upon people. We see New Agers talk about being light workers and how their vibrational frequency is going to be raised, and they've got this Christ consciousness, and they're going to have light on them too. So the difference, the people that are left behind are going to have to know the difference. They're going to have to discern who's got the proper light, the true light. Okay, so the enemy's going to have their narrative on that. These are aliens, and that's going to be their answer. Another thing that the enemy is going to have to explain, and I addressed this in my dream about ancient ships being in the sky, and my son's dream about that these ancient ships are going to appear in the sky. And according to Isaiah 60, 8 through 9, they're going to be bringing people to Zion. Ships of Tarshish, bringing my sons from afar with their gold and their silver. They're going to be bringing them to Zion. And these ships, I believe, will be visible. Maybe only to those that will be going to them. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. But the enemy is going to have their ships in the sky as well. And I do believe there are going to be some that will be a physical object, man-made, might even come from underneath the ocean surface or underground. I don't know, but they're not coming from vast galaxies out in the nether regions with intelligent life. Okay, hyper evolved, super intelligent creatures. Okay, so another thing they're going to have to explain are the giants returning, as in the days of Noah. They're going to use the ancient aliens description for these things. But we're told in the book of Enoch that these giants will be returning because they've only been bound for 70 generations from before the flood. And we're at that time right now. Okay, so the enemy has to encapsulate all of these things that are going to be taking place as an alien invasion, right? They're here to help. They have all the answers. That's the enemy's go-to narrative for what's going to be happening in the very near future. And all of that hinges on the shape of the earth. And the reason I say that is because their foundational lie for this narrative began hundreds of years ago when they began to describe the shape of the earth as a ball, a spherical object hurtling through space, circling the sun, just mindlessly spiraling through this vast infinite universe where there are hundreds, maybe millions of other galaxies out there. Who are we to think we're the only one? We're nothing special. We're just a speck, right? So they're going to use this deception. This is a foundational deception in order to get to this explanation of aliens for the last days. And they need that explanation to be believed by the population on this earth to bring in their new world order, right? Because Scripture tells us that all things hidden are going to be revealed, right? And we know that there are those here who have disguised themselves as human. They have managed to, I don't know, call it frequency, I don't know, but they've been able to fool the world into thinking that they're human. Right? These are tares among the wheat that the enemy has sowed here among us. They look like us right now. But because we are promised in Matthew 10:26 that all things hidden are going to be revealed, they're going to be exposed for the demonic creatures that they are. Whether you call them reptilians, I don't know. They're going to be exposed. And when that happens, the answer they're going to give to the world is aliens, right? We're super evolved, we're highly intelligent, and we're here with all the answers. And people are going to believe it because in a state of fear, they're easily controlled and they'll go to whoever has the answers. Okay, so the buildup of this ancient alien narrative, this has been going on for a very long time. but it hinges foundationally on the shape of the earth, right? Because to them, their argument is we're nothing special. We're just one of many millions of galaxies. And these creatures are going to be coming from other galaxies here to help us or do whatever they're going to do. But that's going to be their answer to bring in this New World Order. But if you wake up to that lie and understand that the earth is flat with a fixed firmament and that we are special, created in Yah's image, then all of their work to create this alien narrative will fall apart and their New World Order will slip out of their grasp. So you see why the world is waking up to this true shape of the earth, this flat earth. They're going to label you flat earthers. They're going to try to demonize you, tell you that you're an idiot, right? Why go to all the trouble to insult those that have come to this new revelation if it wasn't truth? I mean, you've seen it for yourself when you watch videos and then you get this little fact check box underneath it. Well, this is a lie and the real truth is this. You can bet they wouldn't go to that trouble if what's in that video wasn't the truth. And the fact checkers are spreading more misinformation and lies. This whole censorship thing is to just stop the flow of what's coming. They know that all things hidden are being revealed. And there's this mass awakening happening and people are waking up and they're trying to stop the bleeding because they've got to get this alien invasion, fake alien invasion narrative out there. And the more people that wake up to it, the less they can control them through fear. And they're going to have the answers. If they can control you, they're going to give you the answers. And it won't be the truth. But people will believe it because they've believed this other lie about the earth being this just non-special thing hurtling around with all these other things. You can do this at your own research. I'm not going to get into the argument and the debate. For me, like I said, it goes back to if they're teaching one thing, then you can bet the opposite's true. I mean, they tell us the earth is round and it's orbiting the sun. Then to me, that means the earth is flat and the sun is in the firmament, orbiting the earth, right? They tell us that vaccines are safe and effective. You can betcha that the vaccines are death, run. Don't even partake in that, right? That humans came from monkeys. That tells me, because that's all they're teaching, that humans are divinely created in the image of our Creator, right? So if what they're teaching is this set box of information, you can bet everything that's the opposite of that is true. And that for me is why I even started looking into this, right? I mean, it's through my study of scripture, but also because if they're telling me and they've been caught in so many other lies, then the rest of this is just the opposite. Believe the opposite, no matter what they say. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is if someone asks you, and you've looked into this and you found evidence to suggest that the earth is absolutely flat with a firmament and it's non-moving. People ask you, well, that could be true. I don't know, but why does it even matter? Then you tell them that this is the foundational deception upon which they're building their fake alien invasion lie and narrative. And if we can open our eyes and wake up to that lie, then we won't believe the other. We're less likely to believe it. All right, so I'm going to give you a few quotes, and I know this is getting long, and I'm sorry, but I want to read to you a few quotes, and if you want to write these down, these have been foundational quotes for me to just help understand what we're seeing. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually believe it. That's a quote from Joseph Goebbels, who was a Nazi during the Hitler reign. Okay, here's a quote from Hitler. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. Right? I mean, what could be bigger than the shape of the planet we're on, right? That not planet, but flat plane. Okay. Also, I love this quote from Mark Twain. It is easier to deceive people than it is to convince them they have been deceived. People take great offense, and it's pride more than anything. Oh, but I can't be deceived by that, right? Yeshua taught that the deception would be so great that even the elect could be deceived by it if possible. So most people think they're the elect. They can't be deceived by it because he says if, right? But most people are deceived. And you can't convince them that they've been deceived because pride tells them, hey, I can't be deceived. So pride will stop people from believing that. But it's easier to fool them than to convince them they've been fooled. And this is one of my favorites. This is a quote from Dresden James. When a well-packaged web of lies has been sold gradually to the masses over generations, the truth, when spoken, will seem utterly preposterous and its speaker a raving lunatic. That's their goal, to make those with the truth look crazy. Raving lunatics. Oh my goodness. So the bigger the lie that they can convince you to believe, the more they can control you. The more they can get you to fear, the more they can control you. If they can give you a big enough lie for you to believe, then they can control the narrative around that lie in a way that people will believe it. And if they can get them fearful enough, like we saw over the last 2-3 years, they'll get you to do anything. And people are falling for it to their peril. So do not give them that control. Open your eyes to this deception and they lose control. Don't give it to them. So I'm going to ask you to pray and ask the Father to confirm this for you. He doesn't want anyone to be deceived. And I believe he shared this download with me or gave me this revelation so that I would share it with you. So pray and ask the Father if this be true. And whatever you see, whether it be holograms or ships in the sky, take everything to the Father. And don't fear. His love being perfected in you will cast out all fear. Right there, trust him. No matter what you see, no matter what comes, you trust him. And let him use you. Run at that giant just like David did. He didn't worry about what Goliath could do to him because his focus was on how powerful the Father was. So run at him. Okay? Guys, I want to thank you for listening. I had to share this and I just want all of you to be blessed by it. So take this to the Father in prayer and let him confirm it for you. And thank you for listening. Have a blessed weekend.